Hey folks, Nick here from Another BookTube channel, and today I'll be reviewing Fletch by Gregory McDonald. I've heard of the Fletch movies. I haven't seen them, but I know that they exist, and I know that they star Chevy Chase. So I assumed that this book would be kind of funny, because I assume that those movies are funny, because otherwise, why would they be starring Chevy Chase? So I was really surprised that this book, I mean, it has some dark humor, but it ended up being one of the more suspenseful books that I've read this year and one of the best mysteries. Let's get into it. Fletch is Erwin Fletcher, a journalist whose current assignment is to investigate a drug epidemic at the local California beach. He's found the dealer, but he refuses to turn in any story until he tracks down the supplier, much to the chagrin of his very impatient editor. During his time undercover, Fletch is approached by a wealthy, unsocial socialite named Alan Stanwyck with an unbelievable proposition. Stanwyck wants to hire Fletch to commit a murder, and Stanwyck himself is to be the victim. Stanwyck believes he has selected a random drug-addicted drifter for this assignment, not realizing who Fletch is or his profession. Fletch accepts the offer, but not with any intention of carrying it out, just so he can remain close to what he believes is going to be one hell of a story. In the week before the murder is scheduled, Fletch tries to uncover the secrets as to why this millionaire wants to be killed and why he was chosen for the job. I thought this book was truly fantastic. It presents us with two separate mysteries, the murder plot and the drugs plot. And in both cases, I absolutely loved what McDonald did in giving us all of the facts. When the big reveals occur, everything makes perfect sense based on the information that we were provided throughout the book. We have the same information that Fletch does. It's just that he is able to piece it together in a way that only he can. Even though he's not technically a detective, this is what makes a great detective story. And while it's more of the B plot, the conclusion to the drug storyline I found to be particularly impressive, as I was personally completely at a loss and I had no idea how it was going to wrap up or how he was going to figure it out. And in the end, I was totally satisfied by the result. And I was like, oh, yes, that all works. I had that information. I just didn't piece it together. He did. Fletch himself is a real bastard of a character, but McDonald somehow was able to keep me on his side the whole time. Fletch has two ex-wives that he is neglecting to pay alimony to, and to whom he openly tricks, and yet I found his behavior amusing rather than scummy. Fletch is flagrantly disobedient and insubordinate to his editor. He yells at her, calls her out for sleeping her way to the top, tells her that she's horrible at her job, and it's just generally disobedient. But he's right. She is sleeping with the boss, and she doesn't really appear to know what she's doing, not nearly as much as Fletch does. So Fletch ends up coming across as more heroic than petulant. Fletch is also a master of improvisation, which means we get scene after scene of him lying to people to great effect. During his investigations, he's always pretending to be someone else, and whenever he gets an answer that is a little bit of a curveball that threatens to reveal that he's a fraud, he's able to counter it with a disarming reply without skipping a beat. The dialogue is sharp and quickly paced, and it makes for an easy and fun reading experience. The only significant flaw in Fletch's character that I can't overlook is the fact that he does have an implied sexual relationship with a 15-year-old girl. That's not really something that you can spin, and it's really the only negative thing that I have to say about this book. Luckily, there isn't a lot of time spent on the subplot. It's not very detailed. So it doesn't completely derail things, but it is yucky and worth mentioning. I had a blast reading this book, and I recommend it to anyone who loves mysteries and enjoys a morally gray protagonist. My arbitrary and subjective grade for Fletch by Gregory McDonald is 9 out of 10. Do with that what you will. If you've read this book, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. And if you've seen the Chevy Chase movies, are they like this? Like, are they funny? Are they serious? Let me know that too. Are they worth watching? But thank you for spending some time with me today. But now it's time to get back to reading.